Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 3 Under Par podcast. This is a golf podcast where
Little White Ball's life.
I'm your host, Scotty T, and I'm joined by my co-host in the other box, T-Bone. T-Bone, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, sir. Welcome back to the States.
Thank you very much. If you followed us on our social media channels, which you should, by the way, at 3 Under Par Pod, I was across the pond doing a little golf trip in Scotland this last week. And T-Bone, we were just talking offline about this. It was spectacular. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Thank you to Art Strickland, friend of the show, Art Strickland, for setting it up. The Art of Golf Travel. It was a great experience. Got to play some great golf courses. Went over there with my dad, so that was a really special time that we got to have. You know, that is the golf trip. If you are a golfer, that is the mecca of everything you want to do. It was capped off in the middle of the week. I got to play the old course for the first time, and just the whole thing was fantastic. And very fortunate, very blessed to go.
It was incredible. I was sitting on the sideline, following on social media, but I got the background of all the courses you played, and might have to be a second episode, follow-up episode of a little recap, because you did some cool shit out over there. So
yeah,
good for you. Well deserved. Congrats on the MBA graduation. So I'm sure that was a good way to celebrate it. But I think,
thank you very much.
Going into this pod, this is probably the least you and me combined have watched a major, due to you were in a little bit better circumstances of playing golf in the golf motherland, and I was without power like most of the greater Houston area. So I was able to at least tune in on Sunday and, here and there throughout the week, and we got some things to talk about.
Absolutely electric week. So one thing that was interesting across the pond, because the time difference, we actually played all day, and by the time we got home, finished up with dinner, the leaders were pretty much teeing off.
That is fantastic.
Yes. So granted, though, when you're playing golf, because over there, there's no, they call them buggies. Here in the States, we call them golf carts. There's no golf carts over there. And so you're walking every single day. You're exhausted by the time you're done with dinner. You just want to shower, crawl in the bed, watch golf. So I didn't necessarily stay up to watch at least the back nines for a lot of these guys. But that was pretty cool, being able to do our thing throughout the day and then tee it up, or watch the leaders tee it up.
Going to the local pubs, watch a little late night golf. That sounds incredible.
It sure was. So, but yeah, I flew back on Sunday, so I did miss the Sunday round just with the time difference. My plane actually didn't have Wi-Fi, which was very strange, I feel like, nowadays, especially on an international flight, not to have Wi-Fi. But did see the highlights. Xander Schauffele, we got to come up on top, start off with the winner of the tournament at a total of 21 under par. Mr. Xander Schauffele finally gets the monkey off his back. And it wasn't even that big of a monkey, I would say. It wasn't like a Phil Mickelson situation where, when is he going to do it? If he's going to win a major, kind of like a Colin Montgomery. But the conversation was starting a little bit. Hey, he's been in position. We saw what happened with the players this year, earlier in the year, where he had a really good chance to win and faltered. And so, he's been in contention as well in other major championships. But he came through with that last putt on 18 to cap off a very interesting week of the PGA, I would say. It was an interesting week. There was a lot of talk around it, a lot of it not so good, but at least for Xander Schauffele, ended up being a really great week for him.
Yeah, I think he said it pretty well. There was pressure as, having that label of best golfer to not win a major, and just been hammering, knocking on the door. And honestly, I was kind of out of the loop throughout the whole week, and I didn't really get to watch a ton, but I tuned in on Sunday, and I had an absolute blast watching watching the Sunday round, the final round. But I was surprised because I listened to another podcast about it that's, I would say for true golf nerds. I guess we can just go ahead and give them a shout out. Not that they need it,
Yeah.
but I listened to No Laying Up. And these guys, this is, the golf podcast for, kind of the golf sickos. And I was shocked that they absolutely hated this week. They thought the setup was terrible. They think Xander winning was kind of boring. They thought, the record breaking, 20 and 21 under of a major was like disgusting. And I really didn't have those thoughts at all. I thought the battle of Xander, Bryson, and Victor on Sunday was awesome. And maybe there were some holes here and there that, weren't like your traditional tough, thick, rough major setup, but these guys were balling out. I mean, they were stuffing it from like 220 yards on par threes, getting up and down from everywhere. And I thought they all played so damn good, those three guys. Watching them battle it out, I thought was really fun. And, seeing it come down to Xander on 18 was an incredible finish. So I really enjoyed Sunday, at least. I didn't really get into the setup and everything, but I know there was, and I was a little surprised that a lot of people hated the setup and I guess, the 20 and 21 under par, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun tournament.
Yeah, and I will add the rain didn't do the setup any favors.
Yeah.
When they get a golf course wet like that, those guys can just eat it up. I mean, we saw that even at the U.S. Open when Rory won in 2011, I believe, at Congressional. That was a U.S. Open, and he went absolutely bananas. You give those guys an inch, soften up the golf course a little bit, then it throws off the original intent of how the course was supposed to be set up. And so, no, I think that's worth mentioning as well. But yeah, I think the PGA was like the lowest winning score ever for any major championship history. I think it was also the lowest combined score for the entire field as well. So it wasn't just like the leaders pulled away. Like it was, I mean, I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. It was a pretty stacked leaderboard. The big names are up there generally. There were a few that were missing, which I'm sure we'll talk about, including John Rahm. But Xander, Bryson, Victor Hovland, Morikawa, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry goes out and shoots a 62. Justin Thomas, Robert McIntyre, Billy Horschel, Scheffler, Rory, Sahith Theegala. Like these are established stars and up and coming stars as well.
Yep.
And that's what you want. You want to see the big names at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah. And I guess, no, I think that's fair. I think you did say Rahm, though, who missed the cut. But anyways.
Yeah.
I think
yeah, he struggled.
Part of the frustration with people, which I do also get, is the 21 under, that's like a regular PGA Tour event. I mean, that's even excessive for a PGA Tour event. And you want to see the majors be challenging and, have the best golfer win in the toughest conditions. But, I think you make a good point that the field was strong and, some of the best golfers were there at the end. So, I mean, Xander, Bryson, Victor, those guys. I mean, Victor, I don't know where the hell that came from, but as he said he almost didn't play because he was playing so bad leading up to the tournament. But, kind of channeled something from last year where he probably was the best golfer in the world. So, man, I really enjoyed the tournament. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I understand where the no laying up guys are coming on. I think they tend to be kind of granola hipster in their approach when it comes to golf. Great, but they are the best, in my opinion, of what they do. They're the OG golf podcast. So, mad respect to those guys over there at No Laying Up, big fans. But I think they do tend to be granola. I think it's a legitimate gripe, though. You want your major championships to be the majors the hardest week. I don't want this to be another week on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess where I'm going with it, it's a dichotomy of that it did allow the cream of the crop to rise to the top. But also, I mean, how's that much different than the Memorial or different than Riviera, where it's a elevated event or whatever they're calling it now, but a tougher golf course. I don't know. It was an interesting week, but I mean, Xander Schauffele, man, he's got his major championship now. So congrats to Schauffele. It was a good week for him, and obviously he's a major championship winner now. You can't take that away from him.
Yep. Well done, Xander. All right.
Yeah, which like I mean that putt he nailed on 18, the way that it just like slid in, that probably doesn't happen at a U.S. Open, really. It just, and I don't know if it's because the greens were soft, because of the rain, but I think that kind of encapsulated the week of it. In most other major championships, even in other PGAs, like a Bethpage, was that 2 years ago when Brooks won? That doesn't fall, but it did this time. And you know what? Everybody plays the same course. Everybody plays the same conditions, and Xander came out on top.
Yep. He played good. All right. Who's next?
Let's go to the beginning of the week, shall we? There's a lot of talk of who was the talk of the town going into this tournament. It was Scottie Scheffler. Word came out, I think, the weekend before that Scheffler's finally had their baby. So congratulations to Scottie and Meredith Scheffler. And fatherhood is the best. Being a parent's awesome. Kids rock. Big fans. I'm having one in like 3 weeks at the time of this recording. So and then he comes in, dominate. He didn't dominate, but he looked good on that first round on Thursday in the afternoon. First hole, yeah, right, Eagle? I was like, what are we doing here? Crazy town. And we're like, all right, nobody's going to beat Schauffele. Not even having a newborn where you are sleep deprived and everything. He's still going to do what he does. And then Friday happened. I think the next 2 segments are going to be golf gossip here. T-Bone, what were your thoughts when you read the report? You practically wake up and see that Scottie Scheffler was arrested and he's in a jail cell right now. Oh my gosh, the whole thing was nuts. Set the entire golf world on storm. Deservedly so. The mugshot gets released. The whole thing just spiraled out of control, and probably all from a misunderstanding.
Man, it has got to be one of the weirder sports stories I've ever seen in my life. So for all of the local listeners here in Houston, thoughts and prayers with you through, this last week and weekend with bad storms and power outages. And, it all happened pretty quick on Thursday night. I was pretty thankful, lost power for a little bit, lost defense, but all things aside, it could have been a lot worse. But so I'm sleeping in my hot, powerless house Thursday night, wake up Friday morning to a dead phone, and one of the loyal listeners to the program, Sammy Slim, shout out Sammy Slim, texts me, #free Scotty. And it's like 7 a.m. and I'm like, what the hell does this mean? I'm still kind of delirious, and then go straight to Insta and I'm seeing Scotty get walked through traffic and cuffs. I'm starting to see, the mug shot comes out, everything you said, and I'm just in absolute shock that this is happening. And I'm more concerned with this going on than the actual storm and damage to my house, because I couldn't comprehend what could have possibly happened. But man, I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what actually happened there, but gotta be a huge misunderstanding. And I wonder if that cop still has a job. But I do want to say, I don't think this has been brought up. Season 1 of, I'm blanking. Full Swing. Season 1 of Full Swing. It shows a clip of Scotty, and he's with Ted Scott and they're leaving early for a tournament. I think from Dallas in his house or something, and it shows Scotty driving the car and he's flooring it like 95 on the highway, and Ted Scott tells him to cool it a little bit. So just maybe a little, maybe not quite a golf gossip segment, but just a little something for the viewers, listeners to chew on and think about. Maybe go look back at the tape from Full Swing season 1, because I do remember that. I was like, holy shit, he's driving fast, and why is he even driving? But I'm going to side with Scotty. I don't think this guy could ever do anything wrong, and the fact that the nicest, calmest, chillest dude ever, and the fact that he's the number 1 golfer in the world ended up in a jail cell was the weirdest thing I've seen in sports.
It didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense because, I love seeing all the pictures of like him next to John Daly and Tiger Woods with their mugshots too. I mean, the fact that they even got Scotty in an orange jumpsuit too, like they went full in on this. And we do need to give some context here. So the reason why there is that chaotic thing going on there is because there was a really tragic accident where a volunteer was killed in a traffic accident that morning. So want to give thoughts and prayers to that family. Very just horrible situation. And so because that happened earlier, there was additional police force or police staff that was there responding to the incident. And so, because obviously the PGA of America was working hand in hand with the Louisville Police Department and local authorities, just because it's a major sporting event in the city. And the guys who are there, so I think it's my understanding Louisville PD had volunteers, and generally all of them were golf fans of some sort or sports fans, know who some of the high profile players are. The people who responded and were involved in that incident, again, were responding to the accident. So they weren't necessarily quote unquote supposed to be there. They were called in because of the accident. So they probably had no clue who Scotty Scheffler was. They had no clue what a courtesy car looks like, because he was probably in a courtesy car. So the whole thing was just a giant misunderstanding, a series of unfortunate events that ultimately resulted in Scotty warming up and stretching in a jail cell, which is just absolutely wild. And then he goes out and shoots 66 that day. It was crazy. And then obviously he tripped up and faltered on Saturday, but then came back, ended up with the T12 finish. So I mean, overall, I'd say in terms of golf course play, pretty good week for Scheffler, but off the course, not so much. It was wild.
Insane.
And it set the golf world aflame, dude. Everybody went nuts, parabolic. It burned golf Twitter down.
Yeah, there was some great content out there. I think he had a crazy streak that ended of under par rounds on Saturday, but what are you going to do? It was just probably the weirdest day ever. So, honestly, it made me like Scotty a little more. I've never been a huge fan. For me, it's just kind of hard to cheer for. Not that I like or dislike him. It's just kind of eh. And this gave me some Scotty love. Felt bad for him for sure. So, but man, just a weird week. So, but
it makes him interesting. I mean, what's up, Drew? It makes him a bit more interesting. Am I right?
Absolutely.
He's got a rap sheet now.
Yep. So I think that was probably, I guess you could argue, one of the, if not the biggest golf gossip story we've ever had, but it was too obvious to not even. That's like the main chapter of this episode is having to cover that. So insane. Yep. But I think kind of more of in line with the golf gossip segment this week, which was, man, a major bummer, was the Rory McIlroy filing for divorce the Monday of the PGA Championship, the day after winning at Quill Hollow. And as rumors have kind of progressed and the week's gone on, it's now, I don't know if you've seen this, but I don't think there's much sources behind them, but it's starting to tingle that Amanda Balionis recently divorced as well, and that there was maybe some crossings between her and Rory, and that, who knows? But man, it seems like Rory, he won, and he had won this week before. Sorry, the last major he won was at Valhalla, and he won the week before. It felt like the stars were kind of aligning. And then you drop the hammer of the divorce announcement on Monday. It was a bummer. Granted, these things had, I'm sure this thing had taken its toll over time, and it wasn't just a big surprise. But that's got to be tough, and it just feels like this guy just cannot catch a break, and it's really.
Yeah.
It feels like he should. We talked about Xander, best player who hasn't won a major. I feel like you just put Rory in that category now because it's been so long. Best player that have never
It
won a major.
feels like it.
That's just what it feels like.
Yeah. No, I did see the rumor mill between him and Amanda Balionis. For those who don't know, she works for CBS. She does all the post-round interviews. She's been doing it for a few years now. That would be interesting. Again, nothing confirmed, just the internet doing what the internet does. But yeah, I was a little, whenever the news broke of the divorce, I was a little surprised. For I was surprised, and then I was sad because nobody likes divorce. It's never a good thing, and there is a child involved as well, and so it's. I don't know if anybody really ever comes out on top in those types
Yeah.
of situations. And so it that is also kind of the nature of a professional golfer, though, in the nature of the sense that you're on the road a lot. It's a hard life, and it's a hard life to be a part of, if whether you're the golfer or on the family side. So it's just a sad situation that I wish Rory the best. I hope things go smoothly. I heard there was a prenup involved, but even still, there's a lot that goes into that. It's a very complicated situation. So
Yep.
I wish nothing for the best for Rory and his wife, soon to be ex-wife, that's they're able to go on and find happiness.
And I appreciate the kind words there, but I'm gonna pour some more gasoline on the fire.
Let's do it.
People
That's
also
right. I was a little
forget,
too nice, maybe.
people also forget that Rory called off his wedding with Caroline Wozniacki back in the day, female tennis
Yeah.
player. Was there something? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but there's been a lot of Tiger comparisons as well. Which
He's using the same divorce lawyer.
is he really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Rory's using the same guy.
Holy shit! Wow, wow! I did not know that. So, yeah, I know. I think to get back on track here, we are unofficial Rory fans. I think we're ready for him to do well, and we're rooting for him. So this is a bummer, but hopefully he bounces back.
And if this doesn't, between everything that's happened with the player advisory committee too, with the Cantlay situation, we haven't really talked about it too much because there's so much to cover that we haven't gotten into it. But for those who are familiar, like, he's kind of getting the shaft on the player advisory committee too. Between that and the divorce and everything, if this does not light a fire under his ass to get going and go win some major championships, then I don't know what will.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, he should just dive right into golf, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no, that's really interesting about the called off wedding with Caroline Wozniacki. There's something there. I don't know what it is.
People always
There's
forget
something
that.
going on. Man, he's been through so much shit though, because of all the things we just stated. And then you throw in the live golf thing for this last year. I bet you his mind and his head is just in a tailspin. He has no clue what day of the week it probably is. And I don't blame him. That's a lot of crap that people got to deal with. And it's hard to handle that stress, even if you are a professional golfer and your job is to deal with stress.
Yeah. Anyways, Not the funnest golf gossip segment, but we wish you well, Rory, and get your game
Yep.
in check, buddy. 2 majors left, so um,
Yeah.
we want to talk a little Bryson.
Yeah. I think Bryson is such a curious character to me. He really is, because he is such a douchebag, but he's also so likable at the same time. And the whole live thing and him wanting to be like a YouTube golfer now, throwing the Ryder Cup stuff last year, I think there's a little stuff going on. But then like he's like a wave to me, man. There are times where it is, or a roller coaster. There are times when he's on the up and you're like, all right, like I get Bryson a bit more. He's relaxed, he's chill, he's actually normal. And then he just turns into full douchebag Bryson, and you're like, dude, F this guy. But now
Yeah,
he's back on the ride up, I think.
yeah,
And one thing I think that really encapsulated it well was I saw a video of him flipping a ball to
mm-hmm.
a fan who was I think like a young child boy, like 8, 9, 10 years old, however old he was. And another guy grabbed out and got it. And he was like kind of aggressive on it, be like, no, that ball's for him. Like that's the kind of stuff that makes Bryson really likable.
Yeah,
He can relate to actually people. And so he's like on the Bryson rehabilitation program right now, I
yeah.
think.
I was I'll be up front. I'll be transparent. I'm still 100% a Bryson hater, and I think
Which is fair.
I think he won over a lot of people this week. I did see that video. I did thoroughly enjoy that video. I still think he does, for me, kind of toe the line of douchebag guy I hate and like nerd I feel sorry for. But I mean, he's also an insanely rich golfer, yeah, who plays golf for a living. So, but I think, man, he's just done so much in the past for me to. It's going to take so much for me to be a fan. But with that being said, I think he's amazing for golf, and I really do miss watching him on a more regular basis because
Yep.
when he's in contention, it's interesting. When he tinkers with something and it works or it fails, it's insanely interesting. And I do like to watch him, and I do like to root against him. I was jumping for joy when Xander made that putt on 18 because I did not want to see Bryson win. But man, I think that's amazing for golf. But um,
I agree.
I think he just still does so much stuff that really annoys me. And I think one of them, which isn't technically him, and I'll give a shout out to loyal listener Mr. Tolson here. There's no sugarcoating it. He bombs the ball. He absolutely bombs it. But when they're saying, 215, he's got an 8 iron. It's not an 8 iron. It's not an 8 iron. It is
Yes.
a 6.5 iron. It's an 8 iron
Correct.
bent with these massive shafts. And I'm not saying it's like there's no skill to it, but let's not fall so in love with what club he's hitting because man, they love to talk about that throughout the broadcast, and he loves that. I guarantee it. I'm getting worked up again now that I'm thinking about it, which is why
Come
I hate
on.
it. Well, I'm not a fan, but damn, he's good for golf.
I agree. So good for golf. He's one of those guys who brings eyeballs,
For sure.
whether you love him or you hate him. And I think other controversial characters in other sports, their approach has been at least you watched, and
Yeah.
that's how I think Bryson is. He has the at least you watched approach. I just what drives me crazy right now
Didn't he
about
say some shit after it was like, I try and be a showman who happens to play good golf from time to time. It's like, all right, buddy, whatever you say.
yeah. If he doesn't talk as much, then it's fine. Like him talking about world golf rankings and how live is good for the game and how we need to come together and blah blah blah. It's like, bro, you're like are part of the divisive thing that's going on right now. Just shut up.
Yeah.
That's a wave down for me. But now after this week, his on course antics and even him wishing Xander congratulations and whatnot. If he can just kind of stick to the more
Yeah.
on-course stuff, do that mad scientist stuff, that's the wave up for me.
Yep. Yep. No, there were times where I enjoyed him, but I don't even know if I'd go as far as saying rooting for him, but it was fun to watch him. I'm not gonna lie, and yeah, I think he behaved very well this week and was like, I could see why people were getting behind him, and he was, kind of a fan favorite this week. So he's an
Yeah.
interesting cat. Interesting cat. Um, Another thing he did, I'll give another shout out today to another loyal listener, Skinny D, and Lars. They sent me a screenshot. I think it was his Snapchat channel, and he was talking shit about Jeeps. And I drive a Jeep, and I get enough people talking shit about Jeep, and I don't need to hear it from fucking Bryson DeChambeau, who drives Bentleys. So every time I kind of maybe cheer for him, or he's kind of lighting up. To me, it just brings me back down with stuff like that. But that's just me being petty.
Yeah. And that's fair. You're totally allowed to do that, but your Jeep sucks, apparently, Scaff.
Uh,
T-Bone, let's talk a little John Rahm, or notables who missed the cut. John Rahm comes to mind at first. Another noticeable one was Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark, the U.S. Open, the current U.S. Open champion, missed the cut at the Masters this year. Missed cut again this week at the PGA. No, Wyndham did have good players, so has played well at least one big tournament, but not a great showing for Wyndham. And John Rahm, dude, people are really digging in on him right now. Not a great showing at Augusta. Not a good showing again this week at Valhalla. The questions are rising. Is it because he went to LIV? Are the courses not hard enough at LIV? Is he not getting enough competition rounds? For example, I think at Augusta, going into the Masters, when he won, he had, I think, 34 competitive rounds under his belt. And this year he had 18. So he's getting half of the amount of reps that he is on LIV. And
yeah,
as of this point, it is reflecting and it is showing the lack of practice and lack of reps. Maybe not necessarily lack of practice, but at least the lack of tournament reps is showing in his major championship performances right now. And I mean, look, you're getting paid. Congratulations. But it's not translating to the golf course right now.
yeah,
John Rahm, I think, it's a very curious case. I think he's good enough to where he'll figure it out, but it's just very interesting to watch right now.
yep.
What do you think?
No, it's a great point. I mean, we've been saying this from the beginning. Some guys have, figured it out. I think I heard the stat that there's been one live golfer who's won the last 8 majors, and I think it's Brooks, who's a
Yep,
guy that we know can just flip it on.
correct.
And you said, I mean, it's a combination of the competition. It's a combination of only playing 3 rounds of team shotgun golf. It's probably a combination of the courses they play. And John Rahm's amazing, probably on and off the best player in the world. But if you're not getting the reps that Scotty is, or Victor, or some of these other guys, it's probably gonna not be good for a little while. You're gonna have to just adjust to that schedule, team golf, and all that shit that comes with LIV. So yeah, a couple disappointing major finishes. He's got to be wondering, is this worth it? And he also said something along the lines of, I think he said, I still consider myself a part of the PGA Tour, which was hilarious. So
So
it
bad.
seems so weird, and it just seems like it's not working out too well for him. And man, he wants this merger to happen more than ever, which I don't even know if the update is on that.
I don't think there is an update. And that's part of the problem. There is no update.
Yeah. Yeah. Who the hell
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, we were, uh, uh, oh, since we were over in Scotland, we were with Art, and Art's a golf writer. He is very much in the know of what's going on in the golf world, quite literally his job. I asked him about the potential merger, and he just took his hands up like nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And maybe the players, guys like Rahm or Tiger or Rory, could have an inside track. But even just based off the announcement last year, Rory didn't even know. None of the players knew. So it's a very weird situation. I think guys like Rahm or even Bryson are wanting to everybody to come to the is wanting everybody to play nice,
Yeah.
and nothing's made movement on that. And I think some of the live players are, John Rahm in particular, are seeing the effects of that when it comes to major championship golf.
Yeah.
Now, Bryson did have a decent finish at Augusta, was in contention for a bit, then fell off. Had a second place finish this week. But looking at the leaderboard, there are not really too many other live golfers at the top. That is on a week in, week out basis. They did play better at Augusta, but when you go to the Masters, they play Augusta every single year. So there's an element of local knowledge that's there that guys like Phil Mickelson can rely on, or even Rahm for that matter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a weird thing that it took a little bit time, because last year those guys were still probably more in sharp due to the reps of the PGA Tour. But now we're starting to see maybe the knives dull a little bit.
Yep.
Anyway, just totally worth mentioning. Something to keep an eye on too. How Rahm will play at the Open Championship and the U.S. Open this year, I think, will be a full. We'll be able to get the full picture with Rahm.
Yeah.
And was this a good move? And then we'll reevaluate again this time next year.
For sure. I was going to kind of try and start wrapping up with a question that I thought was going to be good, but there's only one way to remember, or only one answer to this question. I was going to say, what's going to be your lasting memory of this week? And
the mug shot.
It's 100%. I mean, I'll remember kind of the tight finish, but I'll be like 100% Scotty Scheffler getting arrested, getting taken to jail, mug shot, all that. Man, that's still the absolute craziest thing I've seen maybe ever in sports. What a weird day.
Exactly, especially since he's a golfer, dude. It's not like he's a golfer. He's like the nicest guy in the world, like good Christian man, heavily involved in the church. You and Drew like to say he's boring, which he might be to a certain extent, but he's a bad boy now. He's a bad boy. It's like Dennis Rodman going off to Vegas for a year. Like, those are the kind of things you see in other sports. You don't see that ever in golf.
No.
Outside of John Daly, which, by the way, John Daly had to withdraw due to a thumb injury. Okay. So I don't know about that, but hey, he played for a round and then withdrew. I think it was after the rain. He probably was like, I'm not making the cuss. I'm not making the cut. Like, F this, I'm out.
Yeah. That's probably fair, but not like we expect anything else. Kind of respect it.
Yes. There's one other person that I think is worth mentioning, just as we kind of get towards the end here. It's Colin Morikawa. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll talk block.
Another notable miscut. No, I think Colin's interesting. I think Colin's very interesting.
Yeah, he was in contention at the Masters, I believe, earlier this year. He fizzled out. He was in the final group. He was tied with Xander and then shot even par. We were talking about how gettable the course was, scores being at all-time lows, and he shoots even par on Sunday. For a guy who's won 3 majors, that is very surprising and very uncharacteristic. Is it 2? I thought it was 3.
PGA and an Open Championship.
Okay. Let's see.
Even the 2 is surprising.
You're right. My bad.
Yeah. I might have oversold that segment, but continue on.
Yeah, just for a guy who has been there, done that, which I know he's had his struggles, and I think maybe a slight lingering injury the past couple of years. But when you've been there, you know what it takes mentally to stay in it. and he just didn't seem like he was ever able to get it going.
Mhm.
So just something to keep an eye on until we get reports that he is fully healthy, which I think he is now. But
Yeah.
golf is one of those games where mental scars can accrue very quickly. And it's rounds like this where I'm like, that's got to be a mental scar for Morikawa. Is he able to overcome that? I think he will at some point. But when you get enough of those stacked
Yeah.
up, then you can't start overcoming it. So
Yeah.
it's just, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's a problem, but it could be. It could be the start of something that would be a quote unquote downward trend
Yeah.
for Colin.
Him and Rory should go grab a beer.
Yeah, they need something.
Yeah. Colin, I talked about this for probably half of an episode of it's mind-boggling that he's a two-time major winner, was almost three again this week. And
Yeah.
the dude has game. He's proven it. Some people like to throw out that the PGA Championship at Harding Park was no fans, which whatever.
Whatever.
I won't hold that against him too much because he was super clutch. And this is very specific, but I watched Colin's game. The irons are usually always dialed. The putter seems like it's always shaky, and I swear off the tee he hits this nasty, weak, borderline slice with his driver and fairway woods. And I see some of these shots he hits. I'm like, God, how are you going to play well when you like hit that consistently as your miss? It seems like a miss that's not from a PGA Tour player. And it's something I kind of have noticed from time to time. I would like to hear some more, more golf nerds take on that, but I feel like he hits this weird, weak, wipey slice cut, and then he doesn't putt that well, but the irons are always dialed. So when I think those are kind of like the front and back end of his game sometimes are just kind of sketchy. But, man, he plays good, puts himself in good positions, but I think it all kind of started in the Sony Open. No, not the Century in Hawaii. He chunked a wedge and ended up losing a lead to Rahm, for that opening Tournament of Champions. And that was it kind of rebounded from a slump, and that was a good opportunity to beat the best in the world and kind of kick off the year.
Yep.
And he choked. And it seems like he hasn't fully recovered from that. So it's something to monitor. He's not, approaching 10 years like Rory, but man, he won those two majors quick, and it's almost like Rory, Spieth, Morikawa are all kind of like a similar path right now to a most extreme to least extreme, but
yeah,
something to monitor.
Yeah, it's something to monitor, something to keep an eye on. T-Bone, you mentioned Michael Block. He got exempt into the PGA again this year. He was a definitely big storyline heading into the tournament, and then had a nice little quad on the second hole of the entire tournament. And then boom, you're out at that point. Sorry, especially when the cut being about 1 or 2 under, whichever it was. So it's
he used all of his
he had his 2 minutes of fame, and he milked it for every chance he got. Kudos to him, but the block party is officially over.
I think good for him. I think a lot of people hate him. I'm a little indifferent, but it was a great story. I enjoyed it last year, but yeah, I think he used every ounce of magic he had, and I enjoyed it, but I think it's time to move on.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, maybe it was some meme that was like, man, if only Michael Block could get arrested like Scottie Scheffler, then he'd be on the PGA Tour or something. Again, the memes are fantastic.
There's so much good content this weekend. Man, did not see that.
Yes,
I can't emphasize.
No. T-Bone, is there anything else that we need to touch on here for the PGA? As I mentioned, I think it was a very interesting week. Every major championship is always a good week. It's a special week, for the guy who won, in this case, Schauffele, total life changer, a career changer. He's now viewed as a major championship winner, which changes the perception of him. Definitely with us as the fans and as media, because we are Darren, but also amongst his peers to prove that
Yep.
he can go out and win. So, but it was an interesting week, I would say, for the PGA. Do you have
Yep.
any other parting thoughts?
No, I think it was. I really enjoyed the tournament. I understand the dislike for the week, but I'll never forget Scotty. That'll be my memory. I'm happy for Xander. I thought it was a great finish, and I will be honest. I'm ready for a tough test at Pinehurst. I think that's gonna be really fun, and I'm excited for the U.S. Open.
I hope it's a tough test. That's what everybody was expecting in 2014. And then Martin Keimer said, "Hold my beer."
Oh, that was a
Yeah.
bloodbath. Yeah, that was a bad tournament. I think if I remember correctly, they were like, we're going to be innovative this year. We're not going to do rough. We're going to do like sandy patches. And I was like, they can just hit out of it, guys. It's
Yeah.
not really.
He's
We
the best in the
appreciate.
world.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I agree. But hopefully they build that rough up, and we have a good 2-under U.S. Open
Yep.
championship. So.
Or at the very least, maybe World Troon will deliver for the
Oh
Open
yeah.
Championship, which was one of the courses I got to play. No big deal.
Yeah.
Over when I was in Scotland last week, so I got to see the course firsthand with the grandstands up and everything. I made one birdie on a hole I definitely should not have made birdie on. So when those guys get to that hole, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, it's an easy hole. I did it. You can too." It was 17. Anyway,
Love that.
Devon, I think that wraps it up for us with the PGA Championship, the 2024 PGA Valhalla. Memorable, maybe for the wrong reasons, but also congratulations to Mr. Schauffele for finally getting his first major championship win.
Yep. Well done. Great week. Majors are always fun. I just also kind of realized this angle and how I've been sitting the whole episode. It's a pretty good angle for me. So go check out the episode on YouTube as well.
That's right. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. We appreciate you, the listenership. Comment below. Send us an email. What did you think of the PGA Championship? We tried to cover the highlights. So if there's anything we missed, let us know. And let us know maybe what your favorite meme was of all the Scotty Scheffler memes. My personal favorite was the one of him, Tiger, Daly, and Shooter McGavin.
Welcome to
all
the family.
four combined.
Yeah.
Welcome to the family. Welcome to the club. Do you remember, T-Bone, in college, the guys who I think they call it the Jailbird Club? They would get together like once a semester. It was the guys who ended up in jail. Like the guys who went up in the drunk tank and they would go in and tell stories. That's what I think needs to happen now, too. There needs to be a Jailbird Club for the PGA Tour, for golfers who's ended up in jail, and exchange war stories.
That's awesome. I think you got Robert Allenby too. Bill was almost there with some insider trading, but yeah, no, good stuff. I thankfully wasn't in the Jailbird group, but that's funny stuff. I don't remember that. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, shout out to all those guys. You know who you are. I'm not naming names because I don't want to throw them under the bus. They all have respectable careers now and everything. So, also want to give a shout out to the Low Club Pro of the week. It was Braden Shutuck. Oh, is that me?
I'm sure you nailed it.
Yeah, no kidding. One thing about him is that, why do I have a noise? Do you hear that?
No.
Okay, I'm hearing some background noise in my head, but it was a guy who got in a major car accident back in 2019. He is a club pro at, let me see if I can find it real quick. Sorry, I was hearing some background noise in my head on this website I'm on. Come on, Barstool Sports, give me something. Braden Shutuck, the 29-year-old director of instruction at Rolling Green Golf Club in Springfield, PA. He had a serious car accident in 2019 that forced him to rebuild his golf swing from the ground up. And also due to the accident, he has very limited in what he can do physically. to warm up and to practice. So he ended up being a low man for the club pro, which is what the PGA really does. They invest in your club professionals so that you can go out and take lessons and encourage and grow the game. So hopefully guys can end up on the PGA Tour. So I think the PGA of America does have a really great mission. They do some really great things. And guys like him, I think, deserve to be recognized.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Again, thank you to the listenership for tuning in. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on our social media channels at 300 Par Pod. T-Bone, that's all I got. If it's for saying to you, I think we'll wrap it up. I'm Scotty T for T-Bone, and remember,
Little Wet Ball's life.